It was a normal day in Ponyville. Aqua Mist was getting ready for work for at Roselike's florist shop. She had been working with Roselike as her assistant for the past few years. She actually enjoyed her work though, but she had even had plans to do something else after work. She was going to spend some time with her friend Juno. Juno and Aqua Mist had been very close friends for many years, and they were going to spend time by the park. They were just going to mostly just be there to spend some time just talking. And when the Aquamist arrived to Roselake, the store was closed. And it turned out that Roselake wasn't even there today. She was, in fact, at home. She was not feeling well. So Aquamist had the day off. So she didn't do much else though. So before that she was going to meet her friend at the park later on, she decided to just go to the market to buy some food and go back home again and do something else. After she had taken care of her shopping and went back home, she decided to read some Daring Do books, which she really much enjoyed. But after that she had read about 3 chapters in the book, she felt kind of a bit bored. So she decided to take a walk in town just to get some fresh air and maybe just will encounter some other friends in town. And she did that. She encountered her 2 friends, Burning Heart and Love Melody. They were just staying there, talk for a few minutes before they both had to go their separate ways. Aqua Mist, though, she decided to just walk around and just talk to some other ponies that she meets, she knows. Around 2 p.m., she went to the park to meet Juno. Juno, by the way, was really opposite of to Aqua Mist. Aqua Mist herself was very much serious personality, but she was more outspoken. She was more adventurous type. She loved to do a lot of games like soccer or just hide and seek sort of games, and she loved to practice magic with Aqua Mist. But there was something about that Aqua Mist very much really enjoy. For the past 2 years, she had having this crush on but or any of the other friends was completely unaware about it because Aquamist didn't want to tell for a number of reasons. First of all, she had no idea if was much into marriage in the first place, and also that was already been dating this stallion for the past 2 years, and she didn't want to tell her though. But this day, when Aquamist met her at the park, she was not like her old self. Yuna was sitting on the bench and just looking sad almost for some reason. She has never been this sad before. She has always been very happy and very energetic personality. So Aquamist walked up to her and asked if something was wrong. She just said that nothing was really so serious wrong, except that her boyfriend had just broken up with her. She found out that he didn't love her anymore and that he had moved to Baltimore to be with somebody else. That broke her heart. And Aquamist though. She felt very heartbroken for her friend, but in this case though, she used to sit there to have as a company. And she asked him if she wanted to do something, maybe to show her up. But normally would have said yes. But this time she said no. All she wanted to do is just go home and just be for herself. Aquamis then said to her friend that if she wanted to talk about something, that she was always welcome to be her at her place. And Jonah thanked her and then left. She didn't see for the next couple of days since didn't much left her home after all this, but she couldn't stand see her friend with his heart broken. Other friends was not aware about this until Aquamist had told them. They were equally shocked. Since Juno and her boyfriend had been together for about 2 years. How could he even do that to her? They asked. They seemed to be so perfect together. They did everything together. They have almost the same personality, same common interest. There was something about this that made them both really, really heartbroken. Even for most all of this time, she had no idea what things was going to happen later on with the next few weeks or so. About a week later, Yuna seems to be very much openly at herself again, but she preferred to be more alone, even though that she was really, really more open to her friends. They supported her after all this heartbreaking. Although some of their friends like Burning Heart and Love Melody found out about Aqua Mist feelings for Yuna. They found out this on by random accident back actually, and they had asked her if she had even told Juno about this, but she said no, and she preferred not to be telling her at all. For a few reasons that even though that Juno has just recently been a heartbreak, been a breakup, and she didn't want to tell her because she believed that it would only hurt her feelings even more, and that perhaps she didn't want to have the same feelings for for released back to Aqua Mist. Her friends they tried to convince her at least maybe that she would take the opportunity to tell her, but Aqua Mist refused to even talk about it anymore. So they dropped the topic. So that after that, Aqua Mist she tried to avoid any topic about from romance from her friends because they probably would have brought it up again. And of course, they never did. After that, they just talked about random things like past adventures or past memories or some things that they had planned for the future, for like the summer next year, something like that. But there was something about Aquamis though, because shortly time after this, Juno went to see Aquamis. She wanted to talk to her about something. And of course, Aquamist had no idea what she was going to talk about. But Aquamist, she would be very much surprised. Juno had explained to Aquamist that for the past few days she had been thinking a lot about her, which she asked for some reason, like if there was just some of the bad their past memories or something, or but she said no. She said that she has always been there, like always. She has been so kind to her lately. Always want to be there for sure, make sure that she is safe, that she's just feel okay. But when she mentioned that, she thought maybe that she had feelings for Aquamis. She first thought maybe this was just a random feeling that maybe this was something else. She didn't know exactly what those feelings meant. But Aquamist didn't actually ask. If she were in love with Aquamist, would she even be considered to be with her like a couple? Juno was not expecting this kind of question, but she said that she was willing to give it a try, at least to see if it could work, because since they have been friends for so long and they had the same common interests and they cared so much about each other. So when Aquamist then revealed her true feelings for Juno, she was also expecting that she probably would laugh and probably ask if she's joking, or just run away from her home crying, or being angry that she's betraying her or something like that. But in fact, she didn't say a single word. Juno looked actually just at Aquamist. She didn't know exactly what to say, except, "Are you serious?" she asked. And Aquamist was just a little bit blushing and said yes. So they decided then to give it a try by going on a date. But they also promised each other not to tell their friends about being there only dating because they didn't want to give their friends false hope from both of them. So the next day they decided to go to the movies. After all, they would usually go to movies as friends, so their friends were not thinking much about it. So it's like a good cover for from their first date. They decided to watch this action movie or some sort of drama. There was actually a very new Daring Do movie that just came out, and they both loved to read about Daring Do. And after the movie was over, both of them had this great time. They actually went back to Aqua Mist home where they talked about all things about the movie. It's about the storyline, about the characters, the ending of it, how they thought maybe they could have been better, or what things was worse, something like that. Actually, this was actually the very first date they had, and for some reason, both of them actually had a great time. They just had some just amazing time. But there was something else though. They actually very had a great time as a couple. And they decided maybe it was worth a try. And they both agreed. So for the next couple of days, they went often to the park because they just hang out as a couple, even though they were just talking, having just a good time. And they even had a picnic together at the park, which they sometimes even did some friends. So their other friends they didn't pay much attention or they didn't even realize what's going on. But that was until they had been dating for about 2 weeks when they revealed the truth to their friends. They even said that they didn't want to tell this because they didn't want to give their friends false hopes. They just wanted to see if for sure their relationship could have worked as being dating. And it seemed to be working. So, everything was going well between them. Often they. Then, of course, something did happen. After they'd been dating for nearly about 2 months, something odd started to happen. Sometimes in the morning, when Juno wakes up at her place, she finds that this letter, and when the verse only signed, your secret admirer. She believed by then it was Aqua Mist had been leaving these love letters or love notes to her in secret, but not signing her name. She wanted want to make their relationship more romantic ones. So she didn't bring this particular love notes up to when she spent time with Aqua Mist. And she thought maybe it was just something that she just wanted to do to maybe cheer her up for some reason. But these notes, they didn't appear every single day though. Sometimes it could be in a week or maybe 2 weeks before these notes appeared. But it was almost the same, like just saying how much Yuna means to her, or how much this particular opponent cares about her, how much Yuna means, and how much they want to be with her, and all of things that she misses her, and stuff like that. But after a while, though, after these notes that keep going up for nearly about a month, almost a month, Yuno brought this topic up to Aquaris when she came over to see Yuno, when Yuno, Aquaris, by accident, saw these love notes, and she even read some of them, and it even saw Secret Admirer. She even asked her who had been sending these love notes, and who this Secret Admirer is. But Yuno, she was then surprised and asked, wait, you didn't wrote this? And Aquamis shook her head and said no. She never, if she would have sent her love notes, she would have wrote her name, not as a secret buyer. And Jonah realized she's right. And even realized that this note, it wasn't on even her writing style. So who had been sending these love notes to her? After they tried to figure out who could it have been, the only opponent that she realized that couldn't be doing it was actually her ex-boyfriend. But he lived in Baltimore, and he was only engaged with somebody else by now. At least what she believed, anyways. And she had no idea who this particular mayor of this pony had written those notes. So one morning, when Juno was up quite earlier than normally, she heard this sound outside her door, and she opened it. And in fact, it was her ex-boyfriend. But he was sending her love notes because he still loved her, still cared about her. He was then asking her if it was possible for them to go back together. It turned out he was not aware about Juno being dating her friend Aqua Mist. But when she told him, he was shocked. He wasn't angry or upset or anything, and he asked her how long they had been going out. At least for about a month or so, she said. And that, of course, made him a little bit more surprised, but she asked him that why he's been doing this if he had another mayor back in Baltimore. And it turned out, this relationship with the other mayor didn't work out. So, but he still lives and works in Baltimore. But he wanted to be back with Juno. But after Juno had explained to him that she is only taken, he actually accepted it quite well. He never bothered her after all this. But occasionally that comes back to Ponyville to just talk to her for some reason. Just keep in touch. They remain as good friends, and after a while though, he found someone else to be with, and about several months later, he was married with her. So Juno was quite happy for her ex-boyfriend to find someone else to be with. And I promised she wasn't even worried about this ex-boyfriend will try to steal Juno back from her. Because Juno did actually trust this ex-boyfriend. But it turned out that this other mayor that her ex-boyfriend did find was actually a friend of Juno. At least some friends that she used to know back from her childhood. And after all of this, Juno with Aqua Mist had their relationship stronger than ever. And then some of their friends had even asked when they would get married. Both of them just laughed, maybe someday, but they were not ready for that yet. After all, they had just only been together for a short time. Aqua Mist had said maybe next 2 years or so, just in case. But Juno, in fact, she was feeling ready to get married, but she didn't want to force Aqua Mist to do so. So 2 years later, on a picnic outside town, Juno actually proposed to Aqua Mist. But they decided to wait maybe to a leader at least by the end of the year, like to the autumn, to have their wedding. Because they both prefer to have an autumn wedding with all the trees in different colors. So they would decide to have that, and Wish would give them some time to planning for this. Of course, Burning Heart was chosen to be Aquamist's bridesmaid, and Love Melody to be Juno's. Even after all of this happened between them, after when her ex-boyfriend came back, and she was really surprised and even scared that she would lose Juno to her ex-boyfriend again. But she didn't have to worry though. And after they had their wedding, they actually went on a cruise for about a week as a honeymoon. And they just had as a great time. Juno and Aqua Mist, both of them really loved each other so deeply. And after they'd been married for about 4 years, they decided maybe they were ready to have a family. So they had asked Twilight for help, since she normally helped out the mayors to have some babies. So Twilight was willing to help them. And in fact, Juno decided to be pregnant first, and she actually had twin daughters. And 4 years later, Aqua Mist wanted to be a mother, so she had a baby boy. And Aqua Mist and Juno were so excited to have this big family together. Even the birds on rocky times at beginning first when they woke up early in the mornings, but that didn't bother them no, because they went through all of this together and always worked things out. Even the birds on problems at some point. Even for Juno, Juno's feelings for Aqua Mist at first beginning, she was really uncertain if she was having any feelings for Aquamis in the beginning first. But after realized that Aquamis did actually have feelings for her, and she was willing to give her this dating a chance. And just after the first date, both realized that they were actually meant to be with each other. Even they were first taking this slowly at the beginning because they want to rush into some things in long term just because. And that they waited several years before getting married because they just wanted to be sure if this relationship could have worked out. But now, even having a family of together, though, there was something that both of them really enjoyed. This was something both of them really much loved. Even being with the pony that they loved the most of all was something that they really cared about. Juno, still a very much adventurous type of herself, she often went on sometimes with her friends to be, adventures or at least on some hiking in the mountains, while Aquamis would remain back home. She didn't mind if Juno was on her way from other few friends to be climbing the mountains or something like that. She's even though that Aquamis herself did like to do some like rock climbing or something, but sometimes she preferred to be home, especially now when they have three children to take care of. But their love for each other was so strong it went beyond anything recently. And their love for each other, it could not have been stronger for anything at all. And this is how Juno and Aquamis found a true love that got a big family. The end.